There's many traditions in Christmas celebrated around the world. We have many tried and true Christmas traditions in the United States. For many of us, the ideal holiday is full of delicious recipes, decking the halls, and of course, the search for the perfect present for each and every person on our shopping list. More important, though, is the time spent with loved ones, and the one best way to magnify this magic of each moment is to try out new Christmas traditions. And that can be varied to make your own. We have decorating your Christmas tree, baking holiday cookies, opening Christmas presents, to name a few. Some more modern traditions include Christmas movies. You remember those: Rudolph, the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Santa Claus Comes to Town, Miracle on 49th Street. But there are some more, like Keeping Up with the Elf on the Shelf, are just some of the ways celebrated around the world. Once you learn about what happens in other countries, you may even want to start some of these traditions in your own home, and others you may want to skip. How about waking up to find rotten potatoes left in your shoes by Father Christmas, or Kentucky Fried Chicken for your Christmas dinner? Believe it or not, these are actual Christmas traditions around the world. From Christmas by the beach with fresh seafood in New Zealand to hot porridge that keeps families warm during the Finland winter, you'll discover how different these global holiday traditions are. What's more, we think you'll wow your family during your Christmas party. Sweden. The Yale goat has been a Swedish Christmas symbol dating all the way back to pagan festivals. However, in 1966, the tradition got a whole new life after someone came up with the idea to make a giant straw goat referred to as a gavel goat. According to the official website, the goat is more than 42 feet high, 23 feet wide, and weighs 3.6 tons. Each year, the massive goat is constructed in the same spot. Fans can even watch a live stream from their Sunday of Advent until after the New Year when it's taken down. If you thought the United States went all out with Christmas decorations, you should see what the Philippines do. Every year, the city of San Fernando holds the Giant Lantern Festival, featuring dazzling lanterns that symbolize the Star of Bethlehem. Each portal consists of thousands of spinning lights that illuminate the sky. The festival has made San Fernando the Christmas capital of the Philippines. Japan. Although Christmas it is not a national holiday in Japan, it is estimated that only 1% of the population is Christian. Its citizens still find interesting and delicious ways to celebrate. Rather than gathering around the table for a turkey dinner, families head out to their local Kentucky Fried Chicken. These traditions began in 1974 after a wildly successful marketing campaign by Kentucky Fried Chicken, and it was called Kentucky for Christmas. The fast food chain has maintained its Yuletide popularity, causing some people to order their boxes months in advance or stand in 2-hour lines to get their finger-licking good food. Iceland. Similar to the 12 days of Christmas in the U.S., Ireland celebrates 13. Each night before Christmas, Idyllic children are visited by the 13 Yale lads after placing their shoes by the window. The little ones will head upstairs to bed, and in the morning they'll either receive candy if they're good, or greeted with shoes full of rotten potatoes if they're bad, and you thought coal was a terrible gift. Finland. On Christmas morning, Finland families traditionally eat a porridge made of rice milk topped with cinnamon milk or butter. Whoever finds the almond placed inside one of the puddings wins, but some families cheat and hide a few almonds so the kids don't get upset. At the end of the day, it's customary to warm up to a sauna together. New Zealand. Because summer falls during Christmas time, a number of their traditions center around a barbie or a grill where families and friends gather for a casual cookout of fresh seafood, meat, and seasonal vegetables. The New Zealand Christmas tree is the Ponak. Oh, I don't know if I can pronounce this, folks. Polowaska. Pohutukawa. A coastal species that blooms bright red in December, providing shade during the summer days as they sing carols in both English and their language. Denmark. Before Christianity came to the Danes, Christmas Day was a celebration of brighter days, Joel, as it occurred just before winter. Today, homes are decorated with superstitious characters called Nisser, who are believed to provide protection. In the evening of December 24th, Danish families place their Christmas trees in the middle of the room and dance around it while singing carols. The French Caribbean island of Martinique is a long-standing tradition whose family visit their neighbors during Advent and on New Year's Day, bearing holiday food like yams and pork stew. They sing Christmas carols together in the early hours of morning, adding their own carol verses to the traditional lyrics. Norway. Norway is the Christmas season called Jubilee, begins December 3rd, filling up local bars and restaurants throughout the month. Families celebrate Little Christmas on December 23rd, each having their own ritual for the day that may include decorating the tree, making a gingerbread house, and eating rice pudding. Ireland. The Irish leave a tall red candle in the front window overnight, a welcome symbol of warmth and shelter for the holiday season. Traditional Christmas fire in Ireland often include homemade roast, goose, vegetable, cranberries, and potatoes. Barbaros. A Christmas table in Barbaros isn't complete without baked ham, decorated with pineapple, sorrel, gazes, rum, coke, and a jug. A dish inspired by the Scottish influence on Ireland, combining pigeon peas, guinea corn, flour, herbs, and salt meat. Poland. On Christmas Eve in Poland, many families share an unleavened religious wafer, each family breaking off a piece as they wish each other Merry Christmas. Dinner may not begin until the first star appears in the night sky, and traditionally an extra setting is left at the table should someone show up uninvited. The Netherlands. Sinterklaas is a Dutch name for St. Nicholas, the man recognized by children by his long white beard, red cape, and red mitre. Kids put a shoe by the chimney or back door and wake up on the Christmas morning to find treats like gingerbread, masband, and decorate letters inside. Brazilian and Portuguese families come together on Christmas Eve to eat dinner as late as 10 p.m. Then, exactly at midnight, they exchange gifts, toast, and wish each other a Merry Christmas. Midnight Mass is a chance to meet neighbors and extended family to wish them well for the holiday season. The service often followed by fireworks in the town square. Australia. Alpine countries like Australia have a legend that a devil-like creature called Krampus joins their St. Nicholas festivities on December 6th. Children are asked for a list of their good and bad deeds. Good children are rewarded with sweets, apples, and nuts, and bad children worry what the commissus might bring them on Christmas morning. South Africa. While the traditions around South Africa vary by region, culture, most families come together for a cookout called braiding on the holiday. Marinated steaks and Barbara sausages serve as the main course, followed by a customary dessert of Malva pudding served with custard. Traditionally, fir trees are decorated with a variety of baubles, including ornaments. Ukraine. Orthodox Christians make up nearly 49% of the Ukraine population. They observe Christmas Day on January 7th by dressing up in traditional garments and walking through the town singing carols. A dish called kutuka is made of cooked wheat mixed with honey, ground poppy seeds, and sometimes nuts. It's a popular Christmas Eve treat. Doesn't sound like a treat to me. Some families throw a spoonful of color in the ceiling. If it sticks, it will be a good harvest for the new year. Mexico. All of Mexico members of the church put on pastels, shepherds' plays to retell Christmas story. The Mexican Christmas season begins early in December with Laparos, a religious march that reenacts the journey of Mary and Joseph. The vibrant red pinnasodas flowers are also used in holiday arrangements for decoration throughout the country. Switzerland. Families make their own advent calendars for the holiday season. These calendars are either given to children as a surprise, made together a fun activity. Each day's bag reveals a new surprise or treat with the biggest gift on Christmas Eve. El Salvador. Central American countries like El Salvador toast Christmas with fireworks displays on December 25th and 25th. Children celebrate with smaller firecrackers and little stars, while the older children tend to prefer the larger varieties and Roman candles. Okay, these are just a few of the things around the world. Just kind of a brief story. The most famous of all Christmas poems is A Visit from St. Nicholas, otherwise known as The Night Before Christmas poem. It is generally credited with popularizing the version of Santa Claus as we know now, along with several other Christmas traditions. The poem is told from the perspective of a father who, after his family goes to sleep on December 24th, spies a jolly, red-cheeked old man in a reindeer sleigh filled with toys for the children. It was published anonymously in 1823. The poem, authorship by American poet, is still debated. By Clement Clark Moore is still debated, but it's undeniable that the poem's legacy lives in the adaptations in the Christmas books, songs, even movies. Okay, it was the night before Christmas when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care in hopes that St. Nicholas would soon be there. The children were nestled all smug in their beds, while visions of sugar plums danced in their heads. The manna in her handkerchief and I in my cap had just settled our brains for a long winter's nap. When out on the lawn there rose such a clatter, I sprung from my bed to see what was the matter. Away to the window I flew in a flash, tore open the shutters, and threw up the sash. The moon on the breast of the new fallen snow gave a luster of midday to objects below. What to my wonderful eyes did appear but a miniature sleigh and 8 tiny reindeers? When a little old driver, so lucky and quick, I knew in a moment it must be St. Nick. More rapid than eagles, His courses they came. He whistled and shouted and called them by name. Now Dancer, now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer, now Vixen. Oh Comet, oh Cupid, oh Dancer, oh Blizzard. To the top of the porch, to the top of the wall. Now dash away, dash away, dash away all. As the leaves that bore the window hurricane fly, when they meet an old obstacle, mount to the sky. So up the housetop the course they flew, the sleigh full of toys, and St. Nicholas too. And then in a twinkling I heard the roof, the prancing and pawing of each little roof. As I drew my head and was turning around, down the chimney St. Nicholas came with a bound. He was dressed in all fur from his head to his foot, and his clothes were all tarnished with ashes and soot. A bundle of toys he flung on his back, and he looked like a peddler just opened his pack. His eyes now twinkled, his dimples now merry. His cheeks were like roses, his nose like cherry. His droll little mouth was drawn like a bow, and the beard of his chin was white as snow. A stump on his pipe he held on his teeth, and the smoke encircled his head like a wreath. He had broad face and a little round belly that shook when he laughed like a bowl full of jelly. He was chubby and plump, jolly old elf, and I laughed when I saw him in spite of myself. A wink of the eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread. He spoke not a word, but went straight to his work. He filled the stockings, then turned a jerk and laid his finger on the side of his nose. A living nod, up the chimney he rose. He sprung to his sleigh, his team gave whistle, and away they all flew down a thistle. But I heard him exclaim as he drove out of sight, "Merry Christmas to all, and all good night." Oh, Santa Claus, with much delight, his reindeers drove his frosty night. By Claremont. Oh, Santa Claus by Claremont Clark Moore. Oh, Santa Claus, with much delight, his reindeer drives his frosty night. Our chimney tops and tracks of snow to bring his gifts to you, the sturdy friend of vicious youth, the friend of duty and truth. Each Christmas Eve he joys to come, where love and peace has made their home. As he did in the visit from St. Nicholas, Claremont Moore focused on the more popular aspect of Christmas with the legend of Old Santa Claus, a poem that delights the toys and Santa brings good girls and boys. It is important to note that the poem does have a darker ending for naughty children who do not listen to their parents. Let's read the full poem. Oh, Santa Claus, with much delight, his reindeer drives his frosty night. All the chimney tops and tracks of snow to bring his yearly gifts to you, the sturdy friend of vicious youth, a friend of duty and truth. Each Christmas Eve he joys to come, with love and peace he's made their home. Though many houses have been, and various beds and stockings is seen, some white as snow and nearly mended, others that seem pig intended. Where I found good boys and girls that hated squirrels, strife, and noise, I left an apple or a tart or a wooden gun and paid a cart. To some I gave a pretty doll, to some a pig top or a ball. No crackers, no cannons, no scrubs or rockets to blow up their eyes or their pockets. No drums to stun their mother's ear, no swords to make their sisters fear, but pretty books to store their minds with knowledge of each various kind. But when I found children naughty in manners and rude and temperament and haughty, thanks to his parents, liars, swears, boxers, cheats, are baseball bearers. I left a long breeching rod, such as the dreaded command of God, directs a parent to hand to use when virtue's path his sons refuse. Love was born at Christmas. Star and angels gave the sign. Love came down at Christmas by Christina Rossi. Throughout. Oh, never mind that one. We did that one. And we did that one. Okay. Love Came Down at Christmas Time by Christina Rossetti. Love came down at Christmas. Love all lovely, love divine. Love was born at Christmas. Star and angels gave the sign. Worship where God said, love incarnate. Love divine. We are Jesus. But whoever is their sacred sign. Love shall be our token. Love shall be yours. Love shall be mine. Love to God and all men. Love for plea and gift and sign. So much more than a misuse of the pre-19th century English poet. Okay. Christmas Heart by Paul Lawrence Dunbar. The snow lies deep upon the ground, winter's brightness all around. Decks bravely out the forest sere with jewels of brave old year. The coasting crowd upon the hill with some spirit seems to thrill. All the temples bell time ring out the glee of Christmas time. In happy homes of brown broth views with the red dream holly now, and there, here and there, like pearls of snow, the berries of the mistletoe. A spring upon the calendar says to the maidens, come not here, even the pauper of the earth. Some kindly gift of cherished mirth. When the chamber dim and cold, thee sits a grafted old miser old. He has thought to save his gain, to grind and gather and grasp and drain. A pearl of bills, a merry shout, as so his ears he grazes out upon world of to him all gray, and snarls, why this is Christmas Day. No man of vice, no man for shame, for Christmas Day is mere name. No, not for you, this ring cheer, his festive season of the year. And not for you that chimes the bells from holy temples rolls and swells. The day indeed he has no part who does not hold Christmas in his heart. Okay. Christmas celebrations around the world. Traditions around the world. Okay. Frosty the Snowman, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the Grinch. These characters are among the many that are associated with Christmas time in modern time, but none are quite as famous with the season as the Jolly Gentleman in Red. No matter if you call him Kris Kringle, Father Christmas, or Santa Claus, the legendary figure is known for delivering toys to good children on Christmas Eve, traveling with his sleighs with the help of a reindeer. But how did it become the holiday figurehead? Santa Claus origins date back to 280 AD when St. Nicholas was born, the History Channel reports. This made Santa approximately 1,740 years old today. The monk was known for his piety and kindness. He would eventually become known as the protector of children and sailors. His feast day is celebrated on December 6th, following on his death date. Historically, the day was considered to be lucky for making large purchases and getting married, according to the History Channel. Some legends suggest that St. Nicholas would return to his fast day dressed in red bishop robe. He delivers sweets, presents to good children, and coal and potatoes to bad children. Now, the full story is this. It is linked to, Santa Claus is linked to St. Nicholas, he was a Greek bishop of Myra, a Roman town in Turkey. St. Nicholas lived in the 3rd and 4th centuries. He defined Christianity while followers were being prosecuted. He was in prison for many years until Constantine came to power and made Christianity the dominant religion in the Roman Empire. After his death, St. Nicholas became the patron of many groups, including sailors and the entire nations, as geographic noted. However, 2 tales of his life led him to become the patron saint of children and magical gift giver. One includes Bishop Nicholas giving 3 bags of gold to a father to save his daughter from prostitution or slavery. The other involves 3 boys who were murdered and dismantled and pickled by their killer, an innkeeper. Nicholas prayed to God and rescued this has got to be a myth. Prayed to God and rescued the 3 boys, according to the story accountment. So there was a lot of myths included with him. Between 1200 and 1500, gift-giving celebrations took place on St. Nicholas Day, December 6th, after Protestant Reformation and the Catholic saint lost prominence, but the tradition continued. To this, the gift-giving was attributed to baby Jesus. Since the infant could carry only so many presents, he was given a helper who encouraged good behavior from children and threatened them with kidnappings or weapons otherwise. These sidekicks were based on St. Nicholas and was known by genetic names including Rough Nicholas, Ashley Nicholas, Furry Nicholas. St. Nicholas is commonly linked to Oregon, a ruler of Asgard, as one of the major gods in the gigantic mythology, who was despised as a white-bearded man with magical powers. However, Odin ties to Santa Claus may be more pronounced. The winter solstice, also known as Yule, was a time when Odin led a hunting party known as the Wild Hunt in the sky with the 8-legged horse. The 13th century pagan said the magical horse could leap great distances, a trait reindeer possesses. Children would leave their boots by the chimney filled with carrots and hay to feed the horse. Legend has it that whenever Oregon flew by, he would leave gifts by their boots. Many people who celebrate Christmas have already decorated their own trees. It's got everything ready, but shortage of Christmas trees and price hikes has been somewhat part of the holiday season. But what is their history? The records of using greenery to celebrate the holidays predate widespread use of the phrase Christmas tree. Rural English church records from the 15th to the 16th centuries indicate that holly and ivy were bought in the winter, hence the British carol, the holly and the ivory. Private houses and streets were also decorated with greenery at this time, according to history. Flanders portraits that a pursuer to the Christmas tree can be seen in the pole that parish would decorate with holly and ivory like winter maypole. One account describes a storm in London that knocked over a pole. This describes it as for the deposit of the Christmas trees to the people. Many myths around the origins of Christmas tree are. One legend says that Martin Luther King, the prominent preacher, believed that pine trees represented the goodness of God. Another myth popular in the 15th century tells the story of Saint Boniface, who in the 8th century thwarted a pagan human sacrifice under an oak tree by cutting down that tree. A fir tree grew in its place with branches representing Christ's eternal truth. Some variations of this legend say he cut down a new fir tree and hung it upside down, which is believed to lead to the tradition of trees being hung upside down to represent the Holy Trinity, sometimes with the apple wedged at the point instead of a star. All these stories have helped the Christmas tradition spread. But the real origins of the Christmas tree appears to be rooted in present-day Germany during the Middle Ages. In 1419, a guild in Freiburg put up a tree decorated with apples, flour, paste, wafers, tinsel, and gingerbread. And paradise plays that were performed to celebrate the feast day of Adam and Eve, which fell on Christmas Eve. A tree of knowledge was represented by evergreen fir with apples tied to its branches. Flanders found documentation of trees decorated with wool, thread, straw, apple nuts, and pretzels. The oldest Christmas tree market is thought to have been located just over the southwestern German border, which is Strasbourg, which is the back part of the Roman, now in present-day France, where unadorned Christmas trees were sold during the 17th century as Weizenbahn, whatever, German for Christmas tree. Flanders. Was the first decorated indoor tree, was recorded in 1605 in Strasbourg, decorated with apples, wafers, and the sweets, roses, apples, wafers, and other sweets. Demand for the Christmas tree was so high that in the 15th century that laws were passed cracking okay. Where was I? Oh, yeah, it was so high in the 15th century that laws were passed in Strasbourg cracking down on people cutting pine branches. Ordinance throughout the region limited each household to 3 trees in the 1530s. But how did it get popular in the United States? Very simple. The Christmas tree in private homes are established in North America, date back to the late 18th century and early 19th century. Flanders mentions a reference to pine trees in North Carolina in 1786, and in 1805, a school for the American Indians run by missionaries sent students to fetch a small green tree for Christmas. Similar examples popped up for the first half of the 19th century in the Midwest and the further west as the German immigrants in Texas who decorated trees with moss, cotton, pecans, red pepper, swags, and popcorn. But the image of decorated Christmas tree with presents underneath has specific organs. An engraving of Victoria, Queen of Victoria, and Prince Albert and their children gathered around a Christmas tree, eyeing the presents underneath, published in the illustration 1848. The premier woman's magazine in America back then, Godey's Lady book, reprinted a version of this image known as the Christmas tree. The single image, it just made the Christmas tree in popular consciousness, so that much by 1861, the year of Albert's death, it was firmly believed that the German prince had transplanted the custom to England with him when he married. The tradition of the giant Christmas tree in public spaces seemed to be an American one that dates back to the late 19th century. The electricity lobby pushed for the first national Christmas tree at the White House as a publicity stunt for the glories of electricity. A nearly 60-foot fir tree covered in 2,500 light bulbs. A 20-foot tall Christmas tree at the Rockefeller Center went up in 1931 when the building was still under construction. By putting so many people unemployed during the Great Depression back to work, the tree became a symbol of hope. In December 1964, Time magazine heralded a new Christmas trend. Became a new Christmas tree, fake trees. The polyester version looked more realistic than before, and they made up about 35% of the 155 million Christmas trees business in the U.S., according to the article. 50 years later, artificial trees still dominate the Christmas tree industry. Of roughly 95% of American households with Christmas trees in 2018, 82% of these trees were artificial, 18% were real, according to a survey. The reasons for this ratio are many. Climate change has made trees more difficult to grow. Farmers planted fewer trees during the Great Recession, and in general, trees take 7 to 10 years to grow. And there are even shortage of the farmers who grow them as they age out of the business. Artificial trees are also held as having a lower environmental impact than buying trees, then transporting to retail outlets as Here's some interesting facts about Christmas lights. In 1882, in a townhouse in New York City, Edward Hubbard Johnson had an idea that would make him the unsung set dictator of a zillion holiday snapshots. Fronted by a luxurious mustache, this loyal lieutenant to Thomas Edison was the embodiment of his era. Part engineer, part businessman, part Belgian, and in 1871, Johnson hired Edison, then 24 inventor, as a consultant for the automatic telegraph company. Oh. Edison ate at the desk and slept in a chair, Johnson later recalled. In 6 weeks, he had gone through the books, written a volume of abstracts, and made 2,000 experiments and produced a solution. So impressed was Johnson that when Edison left to start the new company, he found quickly making himself useful, turning Edison brainstorms into cash. In 1877, after Edison invented the phonograph, Johnson took the machine on tour, charging crowds to drum up service. When Edison planted the light bulb in 1880, its exact value was hard to gauge. Widespread electrician was still decades away. Still, Johnson, Edison, and others invested $35,000 to form the Edison Lamp Company to sell their bulbs. Before long, Johnson had a bright idea. We tend to think Christmas season traditions are ancient, but most of them were rather born in the 19th century. A Visit from St. Nicholas was published in 1823, A Christmas Carol in 1843. Thomas Nat's drawings of the Jolly Santa Claus debated in 1862. Meanwhile, in 1841, Queen Victoria's husband, Albert, had introduced Britain to the Teutonic Taliban, the Christmas tree, and the ideal spread in the United States. President Franklin Pierce put up one at the White House in 1856, and by 1870, fresh-cut trees were being sold everywhere. But what really made the Christmas tree were the candles with white flickering flames. Over at Edison's shop, Johnson saw an opportunity setting up a tree by the tree side window of his parlor. He hand-wired 80 red and white and blue bulbs, strung them together around it, and placed the trunk on a revolting pedestal, all powered by a generator. He then called a reporter. At the end of the beautiful parlors was a large Christmas tree representing most picturesque, uncanny aspect, wrote a reporter for the Detroit Press and Tribune. It's brightly lighted with 80 lights and all encased in dainty glass eggs, equally divided between white, red, and blue. One can hardly imagine anything prettier. The light drew a crowd as passers-by stopped to peer at the glowing marvel. Johnson turned his stunt into a tradition. He also pioneered the practice of doing more each year. In 1884, New York Times counted 120 bulbs on his dazzling tree. Johnson lights were indeed ahead of their time. Electricity was not routinely available, and they weren't cheap. A string of 16 flame-shaped bulbs in brass sockets the size of a shot glass sold for a price of, $12, about $350 in today's money. In 1994, President Cleveland put electricity lights on the White House tree, and in 1994, a 16-foot string cost just $1.75. By the 1930s, colored bulbs and cones were everywhere. Today, it is estimated 150 million lights were sold in America each year, adding to the tangled millions stuffed into each January. The 8 million homes and costumes of 6% of the nation's electricity loaded each December. Now, Jewish do not celebrate Christmas as us Christians do. They have Hanukkah. You know what I mean. Hanukkah or Chickanuda. It's an 8-day winter festival of lights. It celebrated with nightly moonrise lighting, special prayers, and fried foods. The Hebrew word means dedication. And this is named because it celebrates the redirection of the Holy Temple. Now, this year it does fall on December 25th. And it stands for the name of Hanukkah. Hanukkah is a holiday that commemorates I already read. Known as the Festival of Lights, Hanukkah celebrates the dedication of the Second Temple in Jerusalem during the 2nd century BC. Okay. You know, Christmas time we tend to associate, we almost go into New Year's Eve, right? Well, here is some interesting New Year's traditions around the world. Eat 12 grapes is second, Spain. If you manage to eat 12 grapes while the church bells strike midnight on New Year's Eve, you'll be assured good luck and fortune for the coming year, at least according to popular tradition. This might seem like a simple way to guarantee prosperity, but nothing to chew and swallow grapes in less than a minute is not that easy. Um, it is further complicated by the fact that in smaller towns and villages across Spain, where the church clock was the only way to keep track of time for workers in the fields, the bell strikes at the hour not once but twice. The confusion generally resides as to which is really the top of the hour, so many people end up cramming 24 grapes into their mouths in the space of a couple minutes. United Kingdom. There is so much more to New Year's Eve in Scotland and parts of northern England. One tradition that all three UK smaller continent parts share is first footing. The first person to come through your door in the New Year's Eve, New Year, excuse me, New Year will set the tone for the following 12 months. Of course, these scenes are better left to chance, so dark-haired, good-looking men are in the great demand at parties. Eat. We'll turn to the food-related traditions of the moment with a quick trip to the Neverlands. Here in New York Eve, and in the run-up, you'll find small donut-like balls being sold by the street vendors all over the country. These organs of the Dutch New Year's Eve traditional food are a bit bizarre, to say the least. The goddess, also known as the belly slitter, worshipped by the ancient German tribes who used to inhabit the region, was a big fan of Yule. And if she felt any of the followers were partaking in the festivities, she would slit their stomachs open and fill them with rubbish. I don't think I'm going to read that further. That's a little gross. Brazil. We'll now go to Brazil, the other side of the world, where weather is much calmer on New Year's Eve. Here, locals take a trip to the beach to place candles in the sand and throw white flowers into the ocean. This is done as an offering to the goddess Yulmo, who controls the seas and will grant their blessings for the year and come to all those who honor her. You know, there's interesting fact in Hawaii, to honor the family's passing or whatever, they have like little lighted candles that they put on the bay to float. In Italy, red underwear is a big thing on New Year's Eve. Both men and women wear red underwear to bring good luck and prosperity for the coming year. And giving a gift of a pair new, of course, signifies that you wish the recipient a good fortune. The origin of the custom are often descended to red association with passion and therefore fertility, that they are a bit more complicated in history than that. Denmark. Visitors to Denmark are always struck by a well-ordered, tidy country. It is now relaxed, friendly, and easygoing. People are. So many come as a surprise to those not familiar with New Year's Eve traditions to see hordes of Danes roaming the streets, hurling cups, plates, bowls in each other's front doors. And equally surprising is the fact that the next day, the bigger pile of broken dishes outside the house, the happier the inhabitants are. Apparently, throwing plates at the doors of your friends and neighbors is a way of wishing them luck. Okay. Burnt scarecrows that look at Ecuador. The inhabitants of this small South American country also use New Year's Eve as an excuse to release their frustrations, but in a more creative way. They spend the run up to the New Year creating elaborate selfies of politicians, pop icons, and any other public figure that has annoyed them in the previous 12 months. Then on the 31st, the selfies are paraded through the streets before being burnt on the burnt fires while the people party. Greece. One of the many traditions to celebrate New Year's Eve in Greece is smashing pomegranates. That fruit, you know what I'm talking about? And no, this doesn't mean that everybody sits around listening to the 90s indie rock band. The pomegranate fruit is associated with luck and fertility, so the bell strikes at midnight. It's customary for Greeks to smash a pomegranate against the door of their home. The more seeds that fall, the more luck will bless the house the coming year. Japan. If you're in Japan, be prepared for some solicitous bell ringing. Every Buddhist temple in the country around 1800 last count will ring the bell 108 times at the turn of the century. The turn of the year. This tradition is known as Jolako Kane and is to banish the 108 evil desires that the holy Buddha identifies as living inside each and every one of us and cleans our souls from the previous year's sin. Okay, that is a few of the... There, what do you do to celebrate the New Year's Eve? You know, Christmas time we tend to associate, we almost go into New Year's Eve, right? Well, here is some interesting New Year's traditions around the world. Eat 12 grapes this second, Spain. If you manage to eat 12 grapes while the church bells strike midnight on New Year's Eve, you'll be assured good luck and fortune for the coming year, at least according to popular tradition. This might seem like a simple way to guarantee prosperity, but nothing to chew and swallow grapes in less than a minute is not that easy. It is further complicated by the fact that in smaller towns and villages across Spain, where the church clock was the only way to keep track of time for workers in the fields, the bell strikes at the hour not once but twice. The confusion generally resides as to which is really the top of the hour, so many people end up cramming 24 grapes into their mouths in the space of a couple minutes. United Kingdom. There is so much more to New Year's Eve in Scotland and parts of northern England. One tradition that all three UK smaller continent parts share is first footing. The first person to come through your door in the New Year will set the tone for the following 12 months. Of course, these scenes are better left to chance, so dark-haired, good-looking men are in the great demand at parties. We'll turn to the food-related traditions of the moment with a quick trip to the Neverlands. Here in New York Eve, and in the run-up, you'll find small donut-like balls being sold by the street vendors all over the country. These organs of the Dutch New Year's Eve traditional food are a bit bizarre, to say the least. The goddess, also known as the belly slitter, worshipped by the ancient German tribes who used to inhabit the region, was a big fan of Yule. And if she felt any of the followers were partaking in the festivities, she would slit their stomachs open and fill them with rubbish. I don't think I'm going to read that further. That's a little gross. Brazil. We'll now go to Brazil, the other side of the world, where weather is much calmer on New Year's Eve. Here, locals take a trip to the beach to place candles in the sand and throw white flowers into the ocean. This is done as an offering to the goddess Yormo, who controls the seas and will grant their blessings for the year and come to all those who honor her. You know, there's interesting fact in Hawaii, to honor the family's passing or whatever, they have like little lighted candles that they put on the bay to float. In Italy, red underwear is a big thing on New Year's Eve. Both men and women wear red underwear to bring good luck and prosperity for the coming year. And giving a gift of a pair new, of course, signifies that you wish the recipient a good fortune. The origin of the custom are often descended to red association with passion and therefore fertility, that they are a bit more complicated in history than that. Denmark. Visitors to Denmark are always struck by a well-ordered, tidy country. It is now relaxed, friendly, and easygoing. People are. So many come as a surprise to those not familiar with New Year's Eve traditions to see hordes of Danes roaming the streets, hurling cups, plates, bowls in each other's front doors. And equally surprising is the fact that the next day, the bigger pile of broken dishes outside a house, the happier the inhabitants are. Apparently, throwing plates at the doors of your friends and neighbors is a way of wishing them luck. Okay. Burned scarecrows that look at Ecuador. The inhabitants of this small South American country also use New Year's Eve as an excuse to release their frustrations, but in a more creative way. They spend the run up to the New Year creating elaborate selfies of politicians, pop icons, and any other public figure that has annoyed them in the previous 12 months. Then on the 31st, the selfies are paraded through the streets before being burnt on the burnt fires while the people party. Greece. One of the many traditions to celebrate New Year's Eve in Greece is smashing pomegranates. That fruit, you know what I'm talking about? And no, this doesn't mean that everybody sits around listening to the 90s 80 rock band. The pomegranate fruit is associated with luck and fertility, so the bell strikes at midnight. It's customary for Greeks to smash a pomegranate against the door of their home. The more seeds that fall, the more luck will bless the house the coming year. Japan. If you're in Japan, be prepared for some solicitous bell ringing. Every Buddhist temple in the country around 1800 last count will ring the bell 108 times at the turn of the century. The turn of the year. This tradition is known as Jola Kokain, and is to banish the 108 evil desires that the Holy Buddha identifies as living inside each and every one of us and cleans our souls from the previous year's sin. Okay, that is a few of the There, what do you do to celebrate the New Year's Eve? What is it you do for New Year's? I don't really celebrate it. To me, it's just another day. I don't even try to stay awake. I don't watch the countdown with the New York ball coming down. I may this year. But when I was married, me and my husband at the time, we go to bed about 10 minutes before midnight. And we did the nasty into the new year. I think you know what I mean. New York puts that big ball. It's kind of cool. I've watched it before, but it just doesn't give me that big thrill. Just another year, another day. So I'm just a little curious. What is it that you do for the New Year's Eve part? Do you plan to go on partying, what have you? To me, I don't think it's safe to go out because people go out, they drink too much, DUIs go up, everything else. So if you're going to go out New Year's Eve, please be careful. Have a designated driver and come home safe. Okay, I am leaving the schedule that you saw in the front. I'm going to put it in the back here too. There's only a couple that's after me. Go watch them. And I hope everybody had a great Christmas and a Happy New Year.